Hey, Star Wars fans. Hey, Rule the Galaxy fans. It is Joe in the pilot's seat. We are here for, believe it or not, we slipped in a quick one this week. Not 91, but show 92. Nick and I did a quick 91 Lothal Library yesterday about Darth Plagueis. You're going to love it. It's the 30,000-foot view of Darth Plagueis because if you try to get into the intricacies of Darth Plagueis, we would have been doing a 10-hour show. We didn't have time for that. But what I will tell you before we start is both of us gave it a thumbs up. Both of us love the book. And if you haven't read it yet, it makes the prequels better, even though it's non-canon. So, Rule the Galaxy, you can follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter. Email us at rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook at Rule the Galaxy. That's it. That's my commercial for the night. We're going to go alphabetical order because it's easiest for me, and I always remember it that way. We're going to talk to our co-host, Alfie Molinaro. How you doing, brother?
Doing great tonight, man. Is there nothing better than finding a restaurant that rebrands itself and you go there and the food is great after it's gone downhill?
Who is that? Who did that recently?
We went to BW3s tonight. Just came from there. It was a haul to get back, and it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good. I know everybody hates on them, but the kids love to go there, and they'd completely redone it, and it was great.
Interesting. It usually tears up my stomach, so I stay away from it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be like Mustafar tomorrow.
Okay. Mustafar has been mentioned already with our bowel movements. Okay. Thank you, Alfie, for that rating. Brent, go over to you, brother.
I have a few more questions. When did they rebrand, or are you talking about like redesign the interior?
Yeah, like redone the menu.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah, cleaned up the interior, redecorated.
Okay, because that one was confusing me, but yeah, the Mustafar was awesome. Hey, I'm good. I'm learning some wise words from Yoda. It's like the tear off thing, and it's all of his quotes. Always in the future is mind what you say, mind what you have learned. Save you it can. Let's see. Size matters not. You must feel the force around. They're all like little pull tabs, like it was stuck on like the college.
Oh yeah, wall. The college board, the bulletin board.
Yeah, the bulletin board.
Yep, that's awesome.
And if you remember from our conversation with Mark Thompson, that's how he got his first job. The college bulletin board.
It was,
but it was work.
Supposed to be for a vampire.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be Daria, which is also cool because I didn't realize that he was on Daria, which was, I'm going to date myself here, but like we'll be okay. No, I'm excited to talk the wars just like always.
You got it. You got it. Our last but not least regular co-host, Ryan Massengale, or as we call him, Mass. Mass, I heard you were at Chick-fil-A tonight. I asked for you to bring me something. You said no. How is your evening going?
Oh, it was going pretty well until the Mustafar comment. No. That's one of those things that you just can't forget. Like, that's going to be with me for a while, I think.
Yeah, but you can relate.
Is it going to be longer with Alfie?
Very vivid image. Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah.
Lovely. Anything new going on in your life, Mass?
No, not really. I mean, Dad is my dad's home for a while, and I hadn't seen him in a while, so that's cool. But now, Elliot's going to be a freshman this year. Getting ready for that. But
so scary to think about because I still remember that kid coming to my house one time, and my daughters, who were still young and in junior high or whatever, were like, "Hey, Elliot's down the hall with the bathroom door open, just going to the bathroom. Is that okay?" Like, yeah, I mean, as long as he's near a toilet, we're good. So, and now he's going to be a freshman in high school. So that's good. We're getting old. That's all right. And most things create Mustafar on my end, Alfie. So we are, as you guys know, for those of you who watch through YouTube, you see this lovely Rule the Galaxy sign behind me. And I've bragged about it. It's heavy. It's awesome. I'm sure if our good friend Dave would want to ever make money and create these and sell them, he could probably kick butt and make a lot of cash. But at DDoc42, Dave Doherty is he's the guy who created it. And because we interact so much on Twitter, and because he was so kind to do this sign for us, and just because he's a really big Star Wars fan, we decided to have Dave as our last special guest here tonight. So, Dave, welcome to the show. Talk a little bit. Tell us about yourself, and thanks for coming on Rule the Galaxy.
It's a honor to be on here. I actually listen to you guys. Usually I listen to each episode, even if I haven't even seen the show that you're talking about. But yeah, I remember I started following Joey on Barstool and his impersonations, and then I'm like, oh, this guy's a Star Wars fan. And then I see Rule the Galaxy podcast on there. Then I started listening to that. I'm like, that's awesome. So then I got just hooked on listening to you guys. But I always loved the logo. I just loved the design, and I was just like, that'd be awesome if I could make like a 3D sign of that. And yeah, I just randomly did it. I said to my wife, I'm like, would it be weird if I just offered to make these guys a sign for their podcast? Would they think that's creepy at all? Because I just really love the design of it. So,
Well,
but yeah, I've always been a Star Wars fan my whole life, basically. So, you guys have actually really ignited me into taking it to the next level with books and animated shows and stuff. So I give you guys credit for that. Listening to you guys, basically.
We
So.
got you dark side. We got you started down the dark side.
Oh, I'm down the dark side. I've listened to Death Troopers, Plagueis.
Oh, there you go.
Master and Apprentice. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
Maybe we're wrong, but I do feel like the audiobooks are the way to go. None of us have time to sit there for hours and read. So audiobooks while you're driving, cutting the grass, while you're busy doing things, while you're working, I'm sure you can probably have headphones on and do stuff. Real quick, tell us, you made the sign. Tell us a little bit about what you do, because you have some great things on Twitter that are all about your day-to-day activities at work. What is it you do outside of love Star Wars?
I'm kind of all over the place. I mean, I started off doing plumbing. Like I was going to college, but I started doing plumbing side work, and I kind of liked it. And I'm just like, this is decent money. I'll start doing a little bit. Turned into a career, and I've kind of always been a guy that just like loves to pick people's brains and stuff. So where I work now, I have carpenters, electricians, all that kind of stuff. So I have a couple older guys who are carpenters that I just really got into it, and just I give them partly credit for me making that sign, just because they've taught me a lot over the years. So yeah, I'm kind of like I don't know how to describe it. I just go for anything and see how it works.
You're a jack of all. You're a Dave of all trades. You're a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
We'll call it Dave of all trades. So
yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, we're all located Central Indiana. You're in the Philly area, is that right?
Well, I'm in Jersey now, but
Okay.
I grew up outside of Philadelphia. I moved to Jersey 3 years ago. We bought a fixer-upper here, so I'm actually so that was another part of all the stuff. So actually, when I started making that sign, I was like, yeah, I have free time. And my wife was like, I want to be able to sell the house within the next 3 or 4 months. And I'm just like, I need to get this sign done. Delayed it a little bit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And we're going to bounce some things around and just talk a little bit. Well, you know what? Actually, we're going to start, Dave, because last week I asked for questions. And Brent and I did the show, and we didn't get a chance to go through all the questions. And because I wanted some more voices to kind of bounce it around. But you actually submitted a question last week, and it said, if you could choose alternate actors to play every main role in the prequel trilogy, who would they be? And I think that's a great question. I mean, I think we all love the casting they did for the prequels, but if there was somebody else that you could have put into a Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Padme, or even a little Luke Skywalker or Anakin Skywalker, I'll let you start. Are there people that you have in mind that you would want to put in those different roles?
Actually, I was just curious. I have none off the top of my head right now. Is the funniest part.
That's no problem. It's a good question.
I know. I just thought, I was like, I just tried to imagine what it would be like to see a different actor play Obi-Wan or something. I mean, because Ewan McGregor is just incredible, but it's just like, what if Matt Damon played him or something?
Yes.
Yeah, just like thinking of like A-list actors in Star Wars roles always kind of cracks me up.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, trying to pigeon. Hey, let's put Cher into Mon Mothma's role, right? I mean, Brent, you had a thought on this. Go.
I'm only laughing, and this is totally silly, but I'm thinking of Qui-Gon and the kind of master. And what would it be like if you had Christopher Walken playing Qui-Gon?
I was thinking Jim Carrey.
As Qui-Gon?
Yes.
I love it. Totally different sides of the spectrum.
Did you see that scene when he gets stabbed in the heart with Jim Carrey? That would be awesome, man.
When he's like, yeah. Oh gosh.
I'm just picturing
Oh,
Christopher
righty
Walken. Christopher Walken, just like, you got to trust the Force. Come on.
Like, Christopher Walken saying midichlorians would have been fabulous. Alfie, go ahead.
This is reminded me of the Saturday Night Live skit
Oh, yes.
where they had the original people who auditioned for the original trilogy.
Yes.
Burt Reynolds as Darth Vader. Yeah, that's classic.
I actually did read a snippet somewhere. One of the things Burt Reynolds said later in life was one of the things he regretted was not taking the chance to be Han Solo, because he was up for the Han Solo role. And I'm sure after Smokey and the Bandit came out a year or two before Star Wars. So I'm sure that would have been great to go right from having Smokey and the Bandit to Star Wars. What that would have done. Probably wouldn't have made the movie any good, but it had star power. Go ahead, Brent.
So I don't know if these are A-list actors, but at the time, Alyssa Milano was always one of my my crush. I was Who's the Boss crush on Alyssa Milano. Throw her into the Padme role. And then the other one I was thinking, and I just lost it. It was another Padme. Oh, Shannon Doherty. So Shannon Doherty, a Padme role.
From 90210?
What's that?
From 90210?
I'm not saying these are going to be like amazing casting decisions, but like I'm just trying to reimagine those roles with Padme. I mean, yeah.
I'm all for it. Those are good. Those are good choices. How about let's think here. Mace Windu. What are we looking at here? I mean, we've got
you can't replace Mace.
What? Why not?
If anything, I want him to be more Samuel L. than Mace.
Okay. All right.
No, you can't. You can. It's fine. Like
Daddy.
Azalea, she is loving when we go podcasting. If there's not another lady on the screen when we're podcasting, she is alive and alert. If there had been a female on the screen right now, if your wife walked back into the room right now, Dave, she would be quiet and walk away. So
she wouldn't be back.
Okay, so let's leave Samuel L. Okay, let's do that.
you can't replace Samuel L. But Matt, when I talked to someone last week's show, I want to know who you replaced Jar Jar.
Who you replaced Jar Jar? Who do you replace Jar Jar with?
I want to hear Mass's answer for this. I know he loves Jar Jar.
Yeah, that would
A
have
tree?
to be somebody. I'd replace Jar Jar with Elvis.
This is
Dad, is that why you?
Yes. He's no longer with us. And,
For Jim Carrey as Qui-Gon, I could see Jim Carrey in a Jar Jar role.
That would be awesome.
In a slap Jar Jar role.
He could pull that off. I mean, he could do the slapstick. And how about Chevy Chase as Jar Jar?
Old Chevy Chase or young Chevy Chase?
Well, I mean, it was. I mean,
no.
The one from
Misa. No.
But I mean, if you remember him being Gerald Ford on SNL, I mean, he was that slapstick guy. He could pull off. I mean, I don't know.
Are we gonna go Dennis Miller for Qui-Gon?
Oh God.
Phil Hartman. He would have made a good Jar Jar.
He would have.
I like this.
May he rest in peace. He was a great character. He could come up with a lot of them.
Didn't he play in the SNL, Alfie? Didn't he play Jack? No, that was Kevin Spacey. But didn't Hartman come in and do somebody in one of those try-on scenes for SNL?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was though, because I know they had somebody, Robert Dreyfuss as C-3PO, and then
Richard Dreyfuss. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm Richard Dreyfuss. Damn it.
Yeah, he threw the helmet. That was great.
Yeah, you know what? I think we've hit some good key ones though. I think the Padme ones we hit out of the park. I'm interested to think of Matt Damon as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Um, yeah, I mean
Uh-oh.
that's what
It looks like I'm the one that froze up.
Oh,
you're back now. Am I here?
yeah, you're good. We're
I'm there.
good. I think it's Matt.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think of who was an A-lister in 99, 2000.
Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman could do Mace Windu. I would do that.
So would you have like, if Matt Damon's Obi-Wan Kenobi, would Ben Affleck be Anakin? Since
He would
they're
have-
always together in the 90s?
I would go young Leonardo DiCaprio for Anakin.
Ooh,
I like that.
He was up for that role in Attack of the Clones.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was up for that
I
role
didn't
in
even
Attack
know
of the
that.
Clones. He turned it down. Yeah, he
I-
did not want to do it.
Wow.
I know I'm going to break the hearts of millions out there, but Anakin and Hayden Christensen just don't work with me. Like I don't see like I'm not a huge fan of Hayden Christensen.
Interesting.
I've always said it was rough on him being a pretty new actor and all that blue screen stuff where there's nothing around him. And I didn't think it was all that good either, but I don't entirely blame that on him. I think it was his surroundings. Because I've
Okay.
seen him in other things and he wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of his direction on the way he was supposed to act in that movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. George
It's funny,
wanted him to be
too.
hated by some people. Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry. It's funny too, just because from watching Clone Wars now and like it being so new to me at 30 years old, it's like I look back on the prequels and I'm just like, I love Hayden Christensen as Anakin now, just because I feel like with all the character growth that you see in Clone Wars, I'm just like, that like they have Hayden Christensen's mannerisms in the animated show. I feel like, even though it might be corny or cheesy sometimes, like
Yeah.
it's good.
Mhm.
There we go. There we go. All right. Well, good. That was a good first question. Our next question, Brent, you and I laughed about this last week. I couldn't even pronounce this person's Twitter account. So I'll spell it at AMITDIVECHA1. And they said, I want you to talk about the Old Republic. So I know Alfie knows a lot about the Old Republic. Brent knows a lot about the Old Republic. Mass, you used to love Nomi Sunrider and XR Coon and all them.
Mhm.
What were some of your guys' favorite things and not so favorite things about the Old Republic? I am not as knowledgeable, and it doesn't look like Dave is as knowledgeable on the Old Republic. So I'll let you three bounce around some Old Republic things that you like or that you dislike. Who's got a starter for us? Alfie, go ahead.
The video game, Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
That was pretty great. Great, role-playing game, great story, light Revan, dark Revan. I mean, it's stuck around for a long time. And a lot of content's been made from that.
They just
one game.
re-released it in a mobile format, didn't they? Or they re-released it?
It's been on mobile, and I think they released it for the Series
Okay.
X in the PS5.
And tried to update the graphics so it would be on. Yeah. Okay.
I actually just recently bought it and started it, so I haven't. I just started it, but the interesting thing is it's still square. Like, even though I have a Series X, it's still like old school square screen. It won't go widescreen. You can't change it. Like, I've looked up online how to change it, and it's like, but it's still awesome. So I'm just getting started though. I can't put much input into the game.
Well, being a
So-
Dave of all trade, if anybody can figure it out, it will be you, Dave. Go ahead, Brent.
So, and this is going to go to Alfie and to, because I don't know anything about Nomi Sunrider, but I'd like to hear a little bit more. But there are 4 books of the night that are titled Knights of the Old Republic, right? So there's the Revan book, then there is like Fatal Alliance or something like that, where they try to steal like cloning technology from a Mandalorian. There's like a Mandalorian that's like a Trandoshan Mandalorian or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about, Alfie?
I don't.
Okay, so all right. So it's like because I just got finished reading those. So like, so there's Fatal Alliance. So there's Revan, Fatal Alliance, and there's Deception. That one's got Darth Malgus, and it's the start of Satil Shan's run, and then there's another one, and that could be Fatal Alliance. I don't know. There's 4 books of the Old Republic as far as the books go. Does the game feature all of those, or is it really just like the Revan story?
Just the Revan story, at least the
Okay.
first one. The second one, I'm not quite sure. I only played the second one time. It just didn't hold my interest as well as the first one.
So
And then there's been add-ons too.
Yeah. Is Emperor Vitiate in Revan then? Is that Revan, the Sith Emperor in the Sith homeworld of not Korriban? That was in the older one.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So there's a Sith Emperor in one of those books that is like, because the Sith Empire seems like it's out in the outer region, and Darth Revan they're trying to invade into the Republic, or it's like the Old Republic. They're trying to invade in, and Revan is part of that, and then turns and stops it, type of a thing. Am I correct?
Kind of, in a very.
All right, so because I have no idea where that's going, and if I sit
I'm
here,
talking about it.
I know you are, but I'm sitting there going, I don't understand any of it. But you have loved the 4 books, correct?
I mean,
Brent,
some of them are okay. Like Revan's awesome. So if you're a fan of the Bane book, then I think you would love Revan.
Okay, so that's on my list. Revan is definitely on my list. Alfie, it was a video game. Mass
and the original comic line.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, isn't that where Exar Kun and Ulick Quell Dromai and Nomi Sunrider, they were all from that comic line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or were there books of those as well? Or
There
has
might have
Massey
been
been
books.
able to
I
hear
just
me?
remember the comics.
Yeah. That's where I was going. Like I'm not a comic book person, but I have all those Tales of the Jedi comic books, and that's where I found out about Nomi Sunrider, and that's what I like about the Old Republic. I mean, that was I don't like comic books all that much, but those were really good.
Mass, who is Nomi Sunrider?
I kicked out again.
Oh, so I'm gonna, when he comes back in, so who is Nomi Sunrider? Somebody else fill me in.
I believe she was married. Was she married to Ulick Quell Dromai? Or I'm saying his name wrong? I
can't remember exactly, but something to that extent.
And he gets killed, and then she becomes the lead Jedi, Nomi Sunrider.
Well, she goes to his to the master he was supposed to go to.
Okay.
And he takes her on because she can tell she's Force sensitive. And then she ends up being like on the Jedi Council at one point, and she turns out to be a great Jedi.
And she has a daughter, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember that from the comics, but it's been 20 plus years. So,
right.
But they were good storylines, and I think they should definitely, as they go to create new things, new material, that's very between Revan, Plagueis, Bane. There's plenty of fertile ground to be able to bring some things into Disney on that. So for the person who I will tag in our post, but I can't say your name, thank you for asking us about the Old Republic. Last one was from a Rural Farm Boy, who we all know. Rural Farm Boy is great. He's one of the best people on Twitter, and I love it when he leaves me messages, because he just talks and I just take it all in. He leaves great messages. But his was, and Brent and I talked about it briefly. This is the last question we'll do from this. Stormtroopers are always said that they can't hit the side of a bantha, but he brought up, and again, Brent and I discussed this briefly. He brought up that when Din Djarin and the Night Owls were on that ship in the Mandalorian, before that Imperial person bit the thing and killed himself, he was taking plenty of hits from the stormtroopers on there. And then he brought up on Tython that Fett and Fennec Shan they were putting a lot of blaster fire down on them, and Fett was getting hit during that time as well. I think Brent hit it out of the park on his answer, because his answer was, well, those people had Beskar Mandalorian outfits on and armor on. And so they didn't really care about getting hit. They were like walking into the fire instead of trying to dodge it, while most people are trying to dodge it. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that as well. Alfie, go ahead if you have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's called plot armor because their
Plot.
armor, yeah, that's when you're protected by the plot of the story.
Okay.
The original, everybody else that's in Star Wars can't survive being shot, basically. So they can't get shot. Now we have Mandalorians with Beskar armor. They can get shot all the time. Plot armor.
Okay.
My second response to this is that ship seems to have a very narrow hallway. And even with bad shots, if you take the window of what you can shoot and narrow it down, you're bound to hit your target every now and then.
Okay. I can live with that. Dave, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think I'm in full agreement with Alfie on that one. I think you just got to throw the stormtroopers a bone and let them hit a target every now and then.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's just like in the Mandalorian when they're aiming at the freaking thing when they're sitting on the speeder bikes,
Right.
waiting to get the call from Gideon, and they're missing from 10 feet away. I mean, that's just the shtick of Star Wars. So I think you guys all hit it right there. That Rural Farm Boy, I agree with you. They were hitting some targets in those points, but I think it was to say, hey, look, they can occasionally hit something, and oh, by the way, they can hit the people that they can hit and not injure or harm. So yeah, go ahead, Brent.
Are First Order stormtroopers more accurate than Imperials from the Galactic Civil War era? Because this may be a leading into a better Imperial stormtrooper.
Well, I will say this: clone troopers were more accurate than stormtroopers. So stormtroopers, as we saw throughout the original trilogy, were not that accurate. First Order, I didn't really pay attention. Well, I mean, heck, in Force Awakens, they were pretty accurate when they had that group pinned down with Lor Santeca. They were pretty accurate, but come on, it's fish in a barrel on that one. So, anybody else have thoughts on First Order stormtroopers and their accuracy?
They seem pretty accurate, at least in the Force
See?
Awakens.
See, this is leading up. It's new training.
Maybe it was the redesign of the helmet, because I always thought the stormtrooper helmet didn't line up with the eyes very well.
Okay.
I've seen that cutout too. There was something on social media about that cutout where it's like the eyes are like at your brow kind of a thing where the eye cutout is.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We've kind of pounded those questions. Here comes D-Doc is coming in with his First Order Sith Trooper helmet.
Yeah, I was just going to go over the design of it real quick here. You can see it's got like a narrower brow, you know.
I love it.
Alfie, you have that same
Alfie's
helmet,
got
don't
one too,
you?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I got
Captain
that one.
Cardinal. Yeah. That's a lovely visual aid there. So okay, for everybody who put in those questions, we do thank you. We'd love for you to keep doing that because you know what? Sometimes it sparks some good conversation. But we'll hop into some more current news and things we're seeing here. Alfie, I'm going to let you lead the way on this one because it was a story you and I were bouncing around. And whether it's clickbait or whether it's real, Alfie, why don't you go through the new list of all the people that are being mentioned in the new Kenobi series that might be in there?
Yeah, just this week alone, and whether it's true or not, we'll have to wait and see. But Callus, Agent Callus, Inquisitors, multiple Jedi, R2 and 3PO, and a young Leia.
That's a crap ton of people.
Yeah, from quite a few sources I read this week, the story is going to center around, a young Leia being in trouble, and that will be the catalyst to get Obi-Wan off of Tatooine.
Wow. Well, he is friends with Bail Organa,
right?
So I'm sure, as you're, as we saw in Rogue One, do you still talk to your friend? Do you still have your friend, the Jedi? They keep in contact, it sounds like. So the one thing I brought up was when you mentioned that is in Empire Strikes Back when Obi-Wan says to Yoda, "That boy is our only hope." And I know probably at that time, young Leia, they didn't think she was force sensitive or anything, but it still seems like it's on shaky ground for me on that one to have him have some interaction with her beforehand. Maybe I'm way off, but Dave, Mass, or Brent, any thoughts on some of those characters being added to Kenobi? Do you buy in on it, or is this just getting people to click on the internet and read stories?
I mean, just because he goes to meet up with her doesn't mean that she's force sensitive, or just because he's going to try to help her doesn't mean that he has any understanding of the force sensitivity of Leia. It just means that he knows Bail, and he knows the two kids, and he knows that who they came from, and then he knows that they could be important in one way, shape, or form. So I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
And Yoda does tell him that he's wrong right after he says that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Says there is another. I'm most excited out of the list, I think, of Callus, because Callus, this was before Rebels, before he turns flip side. So Callus would be a bad guy at this time in this one. Mass, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I'm interested to know about the multiple Jedi. I wonder if they're like flashbacks to before the Order, or if they've made it through. I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, who made it?
The quote that from the actor said that he said that he saw Vader and he saw multiple Jedi. Now, is that two separate statements? I don't know. You're just going off of what one person said. Were they at the same time? Well, I just have to wait and see.
Or maybe while the certain storylines going on surrounding Obi-Wan Kenobi, another storyline's going on with Vader still chasing people down, and he's chasing down Jedi in one part of the galaxy while Obi-Wan's over here doing this in the other part of the galaxy. Just because it's called Kenobi doesn't mean every minute of the show is going to be focused on him. I don't think it could just be in that era at the same time. So it's just a thought.
We've already seen the Bad Batch that has had about 4 episodes without the Bad Batch.
Dave, what do you think about these characters being named for the Kenobi show?
So I might have read the same article as Alfie. I saw a picture of a young girl who they said like was already casted to play Leia. So like I feel like she's definitely going to play an important role in it. And then the Inquisitors. I mean, I'm excited for that to see Obi-Wan have a run-in with some Inquisitors trying to hunt him down. I mean, just thinking about this show gives me goosebumps. Honestly, just thinking about it, it's crazy. But are Inquisitors in Rebels? Because I have not watched Rebels yet, but I've played Jedi Fallen Order, so like I knew about them from that game. But so did Fallen Order grab them from Rebels then?
That would be my idea, is where they pulled them in from, because they do go after Rebels takes place, and there's a couple episodes where they hunt down some younglings, and they tried to save some younglings from the Inquisitors.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah.
So, bringing up Rebels.
Oh,
I finished 2 seasons of Rebels. So I've watched, 37 episodes, and so far I've liked about 3 of them. So I'm wondering, like if this was a Major League Baseball hitter, he'd be sent down to the minors. If this was a sports guy, he'd be cut from the team. So I'm wondering, are the last 2, because you guys keep telling me how good this show is, do the last 2 seasons kick up or what? Because I mean,
are you a fan of Thrawn?
I do like Thrawn. Yeah, the books that are no longer canon. Yeah, I read those and they were great.
Okay.
Well, he's in it.
He shows up in 3.
He showed up at the very last episode of 2, I think.
Well, he plays a lot bigger role in 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if you're a Thrawn fan, that'd be something to tie you into. And I can't remember. Have you seen Kanan fight off and lose something very important to humans?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to ruin it if I was trying.
Yeah, and
he's blind. Like, you see him blind, right?
Yeah.
Okay, So
Yes.
the early part of season 3 is about how he comes, because he gets kind of angry and curmudgeon-y for a while, and they find a way, and I like the way that they bring him back and reground him in the Force.
Yep.
It's out there. The way they do it is one of the most out there ways to do it. It's a Filoni thing, but I like that character, and I like how they reground him in the Force.
Alfie, go.
Mass, yes, it does get better. Does it let go of what you dislike? Not really, but it's in a much smaller doses.
Okay.
And
So
and
what is
there,
it that you don't like? So
there will be a scene of a person who you want dead who will die, and you will enjoy that.
That's true too.
Oh, yeah.
That could be a number of characters, Joe. I mean, like the
No,
possibilities.
I already know what he's talking about. The guy that should have been dead the whole fucking time. That guy.
But he fell 1,000 feet, though, Mass. Like, let's.
Yeah. He fell 1,000 feet. I know.
I will say this. It's very funny because I bounce back and forth between the Clone Wars and Rebels as being my favorite animated series. Clone Wars usually wins out, but Rebels, between Kanan as he grows throughout the seasons, Hera, I just love those characters as they go throughout the 4 seasons. But Brent, I think for sure Rebels, it speaks to him more than Clone Wars. Joey, my son, he watched all 7 seasons, loved the Clone Wars, but he told me, he said, Dad, Rebels just hits me just right with the character development, how it goes chronological. Rebels is his favorite over Clone Wars. So it's just like Brent not liking Star Wars droids, everything clicks for different people, I mean, it's so if you don't like it, I get it, but I do think it's a key part of the story now. Rebels is a key part to help you go into Rogue One and New Hope and all that. Brent.
The only thing I want to know is, like, so Alfie seems to know what your hangups are, but like, what are the things that are your biggest detriments to what do you think is like the worst part of it?
I don't think that it's bad. I just don't think they're very memorable. I mean,
Okay.
like there's 3 episodes in the first 2 seasons that I would watch again. But I mean, that's it. I mean, it's like, the first couple of seasons of Clone Wars, I don't ever want to see that again. I mean, they were just kind of boring. But
it's true.
Those last 4 episodes of Clone Wars of season 7, I'd watch that again and again. I thought it was great. But
so it's funny with you just bringing that up for Clone Wars. I'm watching and I'm just like, I need to just keep watching. Everybody's hyping it up. I need to just keep watching. And even though there were times I'd zone out and then I'd rewind and I'm like, am I missing something? And then I wouldn't miss anything. But then there were just certain episodes that would hit. Then I got to season 5 and I was just like, the last like half of season 5, I was like, whoa. I'm like, all right, I understand. Like it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to finish it. I'm on season 7.
He's on season 7.
On
yes. Well, we'll get there. And Dave, you might watch Rebels next and go, it's good. It's got good things. Or you might say, I'm with Mass for, not everything's going to hit right for every person. It just isn't. But I think now they've gone this way with the animated series. It's good to, just like Bad Batch. Bad Batch is good to me, but it's not the level of Rebels, or the artwork is Rebels and Clone Wars. It's fabulous artwork, but the story is like, okay, it's good, but I'm sure it's going to lead to something, right? So, but I'm glad you're giving it a try, and I think finishing it will be a good thing, and then you can go through the whole rundown of it all and tell us what you think. But I do think by the time you finish, you'll be like, man, Kanan Jarrus is one of my favorite Jedi of all time. So okay. So we hit on Obi-Wan, and here we are talking about Star Wars Rebels. We're all over the place. My next one was Mando season 3 is now in production. And with that being said, Katie Sackhoff the other day had posted that she was getting her tests for COVID and all that kind of stuff, so she could start going to work. Does that mean she's going to work for Mando season 3, or is she working on some other project? I'll let you guys go around. I'm looking forward to it's coming on quicker than I thought. I thought they would wait a while longer before they started doing any filming, but it's up and going, boys. So Mando season 3 is around the corner. Mass, go ahead.
Hey, she's got to be in it. She wants that saber back, man. I want to see that episode. That's gonna be good stuff. But yeah, I
Okay.
think she's going to work there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Brent.
I was just gonna say, do you think she's gonna get it back, Mass?
I think she is, but I don't see. I don't know how. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think somebody's probably going to take it from Mando, and then she's going to take it from somebody. But I don't see them killing each other for it. But I don't know. I'm interested to see.
Okay. Alfie or Dave, what are your guys' thoughts on Mando season 3? Go ahead, Alfie.
Katie Sackhoff then posted the next day that she's headed to Canada to film a movie.
Okay. See, I can always count on Alfie.
Now, whether that's the truth or not, I'm just telling you what she posted.
Is the movie
Because,
called
yes.
Blue Harvest?
I don't know, because the first post did seem, she even put at the bottom, you're like, ooh, what could it be, to make you think it was Mando season 3. So
They're using code names.
yeah, is she really headed to Canada? Who knows?
Canada. Wink, wink.
Right.
Take off, you hoser. Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff
they're
that
gonna-
gets shot in Canada.
They're going to be filming on Hoth in the season 3 in Mandalorian. That's all.
There we go.
They need some snow. But you know what's interesting is I read that The Last of Us, what did they word it as? I wrote it down actually. They say The Last of Us takes first position for Pedro Pascal. So like, it's crazy to me that
Really?
Mandalorian is such an amazing show, but I think the contract that he signed with HBO is just like, The Last of Us is your priority. You do Mandalorian second, basically, which to me, I'm just like, I was kind of disappointed to read that. I don't know how true it is, but
Do you think it's because they can film the entire season without him actually being there and him just do the voiceover at the end?
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just do some quick headshots when he needs to zoom in on him, and that's it after it's all over.
Well, why would you need headshots though?
I mean, if he takes the
would think-
mask off once or twice.
I don't know if you'd have a reason to take it off again.
I just like to believe in my Star Wars imagination land that it's Pedro Pascal in the costume
Yeah.
all the time.
And that's the way I am with David Prowse. Every time Rogue One, David Prowse. Whatever. I mean, next time we see Darth Vader, David Prowse. Come on, it's what I grew up with. And funny thing about that is there were 3 different guys in the original trilogy playing Darth Vader, but I still think of David Prowse. So yeah, well, good. I mean, Mando season 3 is coming around. Katie Sackhoff, we all want her back. I personally think it's called The Mandalorian for a reason. I think he's going to end up becoming the head of Mandalore. I think he's going to keep the Darksaber and end up being the king or whatever of Mandalore. Go ahead, Alfie.
One thing I really hope is that Katie Sackhoff does come back, but I want some heavy interaction between her and the armorer as far as vying for, the loyalty of Din Djarin. Now he has the Darksaber. Katie, Bo-Katan has a lot of talk about what the Darksaber means. Does she believe that just because she was supposed to have it, or does she feel the same that he has it? And then you got this cult that their guy, he's now number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So when the knives come out for his back, I think that's going to be some pretty good story right there.
Mando and Mando fighting again.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Brent.
You just said one character that I would love to see in season 3, the armorer. I would really like to see where she's been or how she comes back into the fold, because she was a BA in that final episode.
Yeah.
With just her tools to knocking out all the stormtroopers. So the assumption is she got away. So where's she been? What's she doing? And how can she help that story? I would just love to hear that story.
Okay. I agree. I think she's a great character. I think she's great, and from everybody who talks about her, Emily Swallow, right? Isn't that
Yes.
her name? Everybody said she's great with the fans. She interacts with the fans. She's done podcasts. I thought about reaching out to her because people say she's just really great ambassador to Star Wars. Go ahead, Brent.
And I just realized this, and I remembered this. My coworker who sent me a text message that said that the armorer has spikes on her helmet, so the armorer belonged to the Mandalorian sect that was Maul focused, and Paz Vizsla, the heavyset Jon Favreau machine gunner or whatever, the fire thrower, had a clean helmet and was in the Vizsla family, and basically that all of them were they were in the same sect together. So how did these two warring factions of Mandalorian get to be in the same sect together to coexist? How did they get along and be able to coexist?
Desperation,
Yeah. Empire took so many of them out, they had to cling to each other to survive, I would think. But go ahead, Dave.
My main thing when I think of Mando season 3 is I'm just like the first shot of Din in season 3. What is he going to be doing in the first shot of him? Where is he going to be? What is he going to be doing? I envision this plot to be different than the first 2 seasons just because he was kind of learning and changing in those and taking care of Grogu. And now it's everything's changed now. So will it be more of less of a fight a monster here, kind of in between episodes, or is it going to be crazy plot Bo-Katan's after you, or I don't know. It definitely changes a lot after the finale of season 2.
I agree. It does take him in a whole different direction. I mean, because is he going to stick with bounty hunting? Is he going to? I mean, where is he going to go? Alfie, then Brent.
Well, he made the pact with Bo-Katan that if she helped get Grogu back, that he would help her take Mandalore back.
Okay.
Or am I making?
No, I think you're right on that. Yeah.
But didn't he try to do that by handing over the Darksaber? I mean, wasn't part of her getting Mandalore back when he got the Darksaber, Gideon just handing it over to her because he really had no care for it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think we're going back to
that's what I'm hoping season 3 is about.
Yeah, I agree.
Get the band back together. Let's retake Mandalore.
Hey, before we hop into Bad Batch, I want to hit on a couple these should just take a couple minutes. Things that I saw this week that stood out to me. As we know, Adidas has the Star Wars contract that you guys know. I've got my R2D2 Adidas running shoes. But Nike came out with Star Wars themed shoes. They came out with a Boba Fett, a Darth Vader, and an X-Wing pilot, I believe, shoes and color schemes. They were nice. You need to go check those out. If you haven't seen them, Mass, I know you love some Nike. You need to go check these out because they are good looking. Have you guys seen them anywhere?
Yes.
Okay. They are good looking.
The X-Wing, now that you say, I didn't know that they had multiple, but I did see the Boba ones.
Yeah, I think in that text I sent you guys, it might have been the link. I don't know. If it was a link, you could go to it and you could see all three: Darth Vader, X-Wing, and Boba Fett. So go check those out because they're orange. They got orange and black on them. They look really good. So that was really cool this week. I was going to do a Rising Storm synopsis tonight, but I'm not feeling being High Republic night tonight, so I'm not going to go into it. Needless to say, I did finish the Rising Storm of the High Republic. I'll just tell you, it was a good book. It was entertaining. Lots of action. Lots of Jedi. So maybe next week I'll go into that a little bit deeper. But another thing that came up that I know Alfie and I were bouncing around and you guys were laughing at us. Walmart came out with a list or a stack of Tartakovsky Clone Wars exclusive characters, which were gorgeous. Ayla Secura, Barriss Offee, a clone troop, our clone, two ARC troopers, and a battle droid. Who was the other one? I know it was another Jedi.
Did you say Ayla Secura?
Yeah, it was another. It was the other Jedi that had the. It wasn't Depa Billaba, but the other one that had the tattoo on her, kind of that skin coloration. I'm blanking her name. Luminara Unduli. There we go. I believe it was her. They are gorgeous. They look good. Guess what? I went to buy them today. No, they're already out. Thanks for playing. We'll see you later. And then Alfie, what did you see on Twitter right after that or wherever it was?
I got it on Reddit. People
What?
selling the pre-orders.
Yeah.
80
So-
bucks for their pre-order, not the figure, their pre-order ticket.
Yeah. So I think they're 12 something at Walmart. They sold out within minutes. And then people already have them posted somewhere between 50, 60, and 80 bucks for you get to take, once their pre-order comes in, you get it. Guys, it's not that hard. There are people out there who will buy this. Don't let the people be the person that makes all the money. Hasbro, charge what you want. Just put them in the stores. Stack them in there. I mean, it's not really that hard. Let guys like me go do that. Brent can go into any game store and find stacks of Legions things. You can't? When I was in that store with you, Brent, there were stacks of every kind of thing for Legions. No?
The new stuff is ridiculous to find. So just to give you an idea, Anakin and Maul were released on the same day. They were released, I want to say, in November. They have not returned to the shelves since November. So they sold out. They got their allotment in. They have not returned to the shelves. So they're the new characters and the new stuff. All the stuff that you see out there is the stuff that is the old stuff and the stuff that people have 2 and 3 units of. So
Now,
to be honest with
Did
you,
they actually hit the shelf? Were there
They
actual?
yes, they did hit the shelf. That is the case. However, there is the ARC trooper. Apparently, there was a shipment that on a boat, and the cargo container fell off the boat. So the ARC trooper shipments to the United States were cut in like a third because of that box, that whole cargo container fell off of a boat. And so that was even a bigger snafu that they tried to rectify. But yeah, the new stuff takes about another 6 months for them to print it. It's travel times.
Oh yeah.
Industry, just like Alfie, we were talking about the other weekend, they're suffering from production probably shortages as well. I don't know. Like, I agree with you. I understand that it is frustrating for those that want those to fill the aisles. How can you not fill the aisles? Those types of things, I agree. But I also know that there is production stuff.
Alfie, go ahead.
Back in, 2012, when Disney acquired Star Wars? Back then, would you have ever imagined that Disney would have absolutely empty shelves of Star Wars toys in store after store?
No.
I mean, there's literally nothing in Target or Walmart in Indianapolis. Zero.
Yeah.
It's the
And
same here.
Disney.
Is it?
Oh yeah, I never looked for that stuff before. I was always a Star Wars Lego guy for years, and I started listening to you guys, and then I'm just like, these figures look awesome, and I bought my first one, and I put it on the shelf, and I sat there looking at it, and I'm just like, I think since I've started listening to you guys, I think I've bought 8 to 10 Black Series figures since I started listening to you guys.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, oh, Best Buy is an exclusive dealer. Wait a second, Walgreens sell these? Let me stop at a Walgreens on my way home and see the shelves. And then I go there, and it's the one empty slot in the store. It's like we were driving home from the shore the past weekend, and we stopped at a Walgreens to go to the bathroom, and I went in first, and I ran in, and I get a text from my wife. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm coming out. And meanwhile, I'm over in the toy aisle looking down to see if there's any Black Series in there.
Oh gosh, it is a sickness. I will admit, it's a sickness. Alfie, go ahead.
Okay, one thing that really struck me about this today, I was thinking about it, just because you and I, we're all on Twitter, we interact, we see the constant, arguments on Twitter about certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have a release of not one, but 7 or 8 figures, and they're from a 2003 Clone Wars cartoon that almost no one, has seen.
Right.
No Rey Skywalker, no Ben Solo, nothing from the Disney era. We're going way back. That's the products they're choosing to push. So what does that say about them as a company, how they feel about the products they've created?
Well, what's really weird is they wanted to shut all that stuff down from 2012 on. They didn't even want
Yeah.
that. They didn't even want to have it to where you could see those things, watch those things. They didn't want Filoni to finish the Clone Wars. It was like, nope, we're done. We're going in a new direction. That's all old school. We're not worried about it. And you're right, Alfie. I mean, let's face it. I go and look on eBay, Mercari, different places like that, and you know what's selling the most? Stuff from the original, 77 through 83, and then stuff from 99 through 2008. When the Clone Wars cartoons came out, and Ahsoka and Rex and all that mixed in with the prequel stuff. So it's amazing to me that they'd want to give that stuff up and not do it. So at least they're coming back around and selling the stuff that people want, and they're going for some high prices. So it is kind of crazy. But somewhere across the United States, there's a guy who's probably got an entire garage full of every one of those characters from 2003, 2005, 2008, and they're probably all worth $100 each at least. And he's just laughing at listening to people like us going, "I can't find this. I can't find this." So anyway, I didn't. I had to bring it up just because it was very frustrating to me because it's like, oh, you know what? In 2008, when these came out, I was too busy chasing my kids and trying to make mortgage payments. I didn't think about buying Star Wars, people. But now that my kids are grown, hey, gosh, I really would have liked to have those. You can't. They're gone. So unless you want to
fun
pay
on eBay.
That's right. Dave, I know you haven't been watching Bad Batch. You've been listening to us, like you said. We try to hit every episode and talk about it. So we're going to hit on here. Some of these comments will be kind of obviously very specific to the episode here, episode 12, Rescue on Ryloth. Others will be in the bigger picture of things. So I do want you to stick around and make comments. Don't feel like you have to run off because we're talking about something you haven't seen, unless you don't want to be spoiled.
No, I'm fine.
But
I'm hanging.
yeah, Rescue on Ryloth, number 12 of the Bad Batch. We've not heard that there's going to be a season 2. We still don't know if there's going to be. We were told 16 episodes. This was number 12, so we're going in the fourth quarter if that's true. And I'll just tell you, I hear a lot of people, again, do I think it's Clone Wars and Rebels right now? No, I don't. But I still think it's good content. There's some good things going on. But, Filoni usually does a good job. His group usually does a good job of nailing the endings of things, putting things together at the end of seasons as you lead up to them. So if we're going into that fourth quarter, if we're going to do episodes 13 through 16, I really feel like there's going to be some all-out things going on here that are going to draw our attention. And then I also look at the Bad Batch, and I kind of think about, I just finished that High Republic book. Did every chapter keep me like so enthralled? No. But you had to read that chapter to get to the next chapter. And I think Bad Batch and some of the Clone Wars and some of the Rebel shows, as you guys have all brought up, think of them like a book. I mean, not everyone is going to be Luke, no, Luke, I'm your father. It's not going to happen in every episode of a 20-minute animated show, just like it's not going to happen in every chapter of a book. So this one right here, you guys know my love for Hera. I think the world of Hera, the character. So being back on Ryloth, obviously, again, learning more about what's going on in the universe. What did you guys think, big picture, of Chapter 12, Rescue on Ryloth with the Bad Batch? Anybody around the room? Go ahead, Alfie.
My first thought was finally a Bad Batch episode. And if this is coming on strong in the fourth quarter, it better be like the 2006 AFC championships, Colts versus Patriots. Because I'm sorry, this series just, to me, it's just been a dud. And I don't think it's so much as Clone Wars or Rebels. It just seems like every episode's an introduction to a character that's going to show up in live action eventually. Just, hey, you may not know Hera from Rebels, but she's in this show. Maybe you'll go watch Rebels so you know when she shows up in Rangers of the New Republic or something like that.
Okay. So this is kind of a more of an introduction to, it's a Star Wars introduction for people who know the prequels and who know maybe some of the other stuff, maybe watch some of Clone Wars. This is tying up some loose story ends, you're thinking, and showing
Yeah.
hey, here's some other characters you're going to see and that are part of the larger
And
story.
I've enjoyed the show. Don't get me wrong. It's just at this point in the story before this episode, what was the purpose of the clones being the Bad Batch? They could almost be anybody. It's not important to the story. But
Okay.
until this one, and like I said on Twitter, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me right back in with an episode like this.
I got you. Mass, have you watched Chapter 12 already? Rescue on Ryloth from last Friday.
I have, and I'm kind of with Alfie on this. I thought the first episode was absolutely fantastic. I was so excited when that was over to watch the rest of the series, and then it just kind of turned into the first couple of seasons of Clone Wars, where I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're good either. You know what I mean? It's just there's a lot of good characters in the show, but the stories aren't great. They don't really do anything. So
Okay.
I'm hoping there's a big strong finish, but they go back to Ryloth, and I was like, okay.
Brent, bring the heat, baby. Let's go.
I mean, I don't have much to say. I would say I'd probably rate this if I'm doing a rating out of 10. I'd probably give it a 7. Like that's the way I felt the whole way through. I've enjoyed everything, but I'm trying to let it play out before I completely react, because I feel like I was telling somebody this the other day. The beautiful thing about the episodic is that it allows you to have the interactions between and lets you have the conversation in between, but you don't see the full story. Mm-hmm. So the bad thing about being episodic is you don't see the full story and you can't understand it is in its entirety, which I feel like is where I need to wait and let that happen. So that's why right now it's a 7. Like I like the story as it goes through, and as it's going through, I feel like there's more to tell. I don't need a lot of action. I don't need a lot of blowing up and explosions. I would say that though, one of my favorite ones was the Dengar Crosshairs episode, and that was one of the ones that was probably more action packed. But I feel like that was probably one of the better episodes that they've had so far this season.
That took place on the Jedi Fallen Order planet, right?
Correct.
On that one. Okay.
And I mean, I don't need to see the. I want to be grounded in the Star Wars world, but I don't need to see the greatest hits. I think, as Alfie has mentioned it, like I don't need to see the Clone Wars greatest hits. Which, for those people that are really into the Clone Wars, they probably are really into this because it is like the Clone Wars greatest hits. But I just want I want new stories. I want new things to move along. So I try to reserve my full judgment until the end of the season to see where we're at. But yeah, it's about a 7 as we go through right now.
Okay. I will say this. You know that I have an affection for the clones. I really like the way that Dee Bradley Baker has done such a great job with them as characters and voices. So Hauser for me hits home really, really well. And Dave, I know you've seen things about Hauser probably on social media. Hauser is just he's a clone that's very close to Cham Syndulla, Hera's father on Ryloth. He was, Cham was the general in the Clone Wars, to him. He was his lead guy, and he's torn when all this is going on back on their home planet and the Empire is starting to show up. He's very torn from serving the new Empire, which is, basically the Old Republic switched into this, or serving the people from Ryloth and Cham. And so to see that and to see that we don't know what happened to his chip, or if the chip thing's now dead in the water, like is it even needed anymore? Was it a few day thing that it just hit everybody in that time frame and it's over? We don't know, right? But it was great to see some emotion come out of a character like Hauser, to where he was very torn and sacrifices himself, lets himself get arrested because he's protecting Cham and his family. So I think that's a really cool storyline there. But go ahead, Brent.
I was just going to say it was cool for him to stand up, right? So he sacrifices himself, and you said we don't know about the chips. But he said, if you're with me, go ahead and put down your weapons. And 4 or 5 of them laid down the weapons. So It wasn't just Hauser. It was maybe their loyalty to how the other clones' loyalty to either to Ryloth or to someone else they know or to Hauser himself. But there were 4 or 5 other clones that also laid down their weapons. So there are others that are willing to override the programming, or there were others that didn't have the programming, or is it just Jedi based programming with the Order 66? But I think I really enjoyed that part of it.
So Dave, you're getting ready to finish up season 7 of the Clone Wars, which I think everybody on here will agree that those last 4 episodes could be made into a movie. So when you watch those, they were just fabulous. I think we all were like, wow, that's pure Star Wars, those last 4 episodes of Clone Wars. I remember when the Disney buyout happened, and I sat there to myself after reading books from 1991 until 2012 and having them tell me, hey, all those books you just read, yeah, they don't mean anything anymore, right? And then, hey, the Clone Wars, which you're now really getting hooked on and liking, because I really started getting into that a little bit at that time. Hey, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore either. That's done. To see that they're bringing these back in, I know that Filoni had, I want to say, Alfie, am I right? Was it 8 full seasons of storylines and
I think
things
so.
put together? So I'm wondering now that they've done season 7 of Clone Wars, is this just, hey, I'm going to piece together the rest of these things, and like you guys said, maybe make it an appetizer tray for everyone to say, hey, try out a little bit of this and a little bit of that now on Disney Plus to wet your whistle to make you want to go watch all these other things. Because not hearing if we've got a second season coming up or not with Bad Batch, okay, but I'm not sure a second season of Bad Batch is even needed, except to find out what goes on with Omega. So if she makes it through the first season, watching social media and everything, what are your thoughts on some of this? Because I know you've been keeping up and listening to us and all that.
Actually, a question I was going to ask you guys is, do you think it from following everything on social media, I don't know that it helps out the show that they do a 1 episode a week format, because I think people wait each week when you wait a week for an episode, especially, it's like they do that with live action. You understand it because it's like you're getting movie quality and everything. I was thinking to myself actually today, I'm like, I wonder if they should maybe release 2 or 3 episodes a week and just let people enjoy the show and run it out. And maybe waiting, I think, makes people start to have doubts about certain things about the show. Like for me, it's for Clone Wars. It's like, I've had a couple episodes where I'm like, like if I ran into like an episode or 2 that I'm not interested in, I'll go on Google and be like, key episodes in season 4. And
Right.
like, maybe I'll watch like some of those. And then, I don't know. But I was just wondering if for an animated show, if it's the right format to do once a week.
It's a good question, Brent.
So one thing was, I believe Clone Wars was episodic as well, right? It was week to week to week to week. It wasn't an arc at a time. It was one
Yes.
show a week.
Yes.
Right. So when it was released, you have the beauty of Disney Plus, man.
Mhm.
Just like I have with, like, I watch Clone Wars and it messes with my head with the timeline. I don't get it, which is why Marvel's messing with my head right now. But so, like that messed with my head. That's part of the reason why I like Rebels. But I was able to watch all of them rather quickly because you have Disney Plus. The other thing I think I have to say is I think we are spoiled as Star Wars fans because we are waiting for a big reveal every episode. We want there to be a Vader, Luke, I am your father moment every episode. And I think we're waiting for that and we're not getting that. And we're waiting for that payoff and we're waiting for that payoff and we're waiting for that payoff. And now we're 12 weeks in and we're waiting for that payoff because everyone's still saying is, where's Omega? Who's Omega? What is Omega attached to? What's the contingency plan? Omega. Like, they're waiting for, and we as Star Wars fans, are waiting for the other shoe to drop, I guess would be the other cliche to say. And I don't think we're getting it.
Well, I like where you're going with that because I look back at Mandalorian and I like the show. I really do. But man, come on. When I think of Mandalorian, I think of that freaking green lightsaber coming out and him walking through that hallway and being complete BA to finish that and seeing him walk up and get Grogu. That's what comes into my head first. Yes, it was a good show and there's a lot of good things. It was very cool to watch. But I like what you're both saying because we do get ourselves ramped up week by week. And if we get to that week on Friday morning, which will be tomorrow morning for those of you listening later on, we'll get to tomorrow morning and it's not what we expected it to be or what we wanted it to be, then we're like, that kind of let me down a little bit. That kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I've been waiting for a week for something, and that's all I got. I mean, it's like like you said, Brent, I want that big thing going on. Alfie, go ahead.
This show to me is very similar to Rebels, and I'm going to agree with Dave on this because if I couldn't have watched Rebels all in one run, I never would have made it through. Probably halfway through season 2, I would have stopped watching it. But being able to chug through it, knowing there was something coming in just an hour or so, and there would be some payoff to watching it, I made it through. The Mandalorian, every episode to me was enjoyable to watch and held my interest. So
Yes.
I could wait a week. This show, it just, I don't know. I hate to knock it because it's a good show, but it's just, I keep watching it thinking, what is the purpose of the Bad Batch in this story? I mean, none of the stories are bad, but what does the good episodes have Crosshairs in them? And he's in it for the entire series for 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes have made those episodes worth watching.
Mass, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. Is like where they have the flashback to when Hera was a little kid. That was a good episode, but there was a cameo by the Bad Batch. I mean, they were in it for like 5 seconds. I'm just like, why is the title of the show The Bad Batch? It's. I mean, it was a good episode. I liked it, but it was a horrible Bad Batch episode.
I was just gonna say, do you think? Hold up, okay. It's what happens when you have a phone in your hand. You lose it, you tumble, and all that other stuff. Do you think the reason why you are into the Mandalorian versus not into the Bad Batch, and I hear your other comments, the difference between animation and live action? Do you think that the animation is allowing you to not be as invested in the world versus the live action? You get more invested in the world and the storylines. Do you think that has an effect?
No.
I think it's
Not
more
for me.
of an hour-long episode to a half-hour episode where the stories are more developed. I mean, I still, like Joe said, he thinks about the very last episode, but when I think about the Mandalorian, I still think about the Ahsoka episode where the gunslingers and
That was a good one.
that was a really good one. I mean, it's one of the few shows about Star Wars where I don't have anything to complain about. I mean, am I all right? All right. I thought I froze up. Nobody was saying anything.
Well, Dave, one of my theories, and I'm not sure if you heard us talk about it before, was I thought that this was a perfect way to use the Bad Batch as a vehicle to just show you what's going on in the universe while they're laying down the groundwork for something else that's going to go on, whether it's live action, whether it's another animated series. I think it was like Filoni said, hey, we got some of these storylines kind of laid out already. Let's use the templates we've got in the artwork and just we've introduced these new characters in season 7. Let's just use them because, are they really going to make a difference towards the Empire or towards the Rebels or whatever? They're just a vehicle down the middle. I mean, let's face it, Hunter every week has to be talked into doing one of these things, right? I mean, it's not like they're jumping at the chance to go be these mercenaries. They just have to do it. So I'm a big believer that they're just a vehicle getting us to the next point we're going to be at in Star Wars. I don't think that they ever envisioned, hey, we can sell the Bad Batch like we can sell Grogu, like we can sell Ahsoka, like, and all that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts on that? Them just being a vehicle that we see it through their eyes.
Are you going, Alfie? You want to go?
Go ahead.
No,
Al.
go ahead.
Saw you raising. Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I was reading it. Which I actually did watch the Bad Batch episode of season 7. I don't know that I finished. I might have fallen asleep like right towards the end of that, but I saw like right when they started fighting and doing all their stuff in it. Which I also watched a decent amount of the first episode of Bad Batch just because I was like, I don't care. I need to just see what the hype is about. But yeah, maybe it is just a vehicle, but the problem is I feel like Mandalorian is so good. I feel like the Star Wars fan base is just, Clone Wars and everything is great too. I feel like the fan base is just hungry for something great every single week. So I don't know. It's funny because you look at Stranger Things. Stranger Things is an amazing show. They release it all at once. It's just like free for all. Here's
Mhm.
the entire season. Finish it as fast as you can, or stay off social media, basically. And I wonder if Bad Batch might have been a good show where it's just like, here it is. Here's the whole show. Like I don't know.
I wouldn't
Just
have a
from stuff
problem.
I've read from people.
I wouldn't have a problem if they did animated series in lumps, like they're getting ready to do with Star Wars Visions, and just dumped it all at one time. But you're right. I think the live action probably suits better to be a once a week thing like we're used to with regular TV. Alfie, go ahead.
I agree with you 100% about this being a vehicle for other things. I think I made that point earlier. That's how I feel, but I am just extremely disappointed for it to be used in something like the Bad Batch. I really thought they had some potential, and they're being wasted in being almost a second tier part of the story. Rather than, hey, here's Hera, here's Chopper. Hey, remember Cad Bane? You guys wanted this episode released so bad. Well, we didn't. We're not giving you that episode, but he has a steel plate on his head, so maybe that episode happened. We're probably setting up something else. While Echo and Tech don't even have any lines in most episodes anymore. The Hunter's whole, tracking thing and heightened senses, that, it's just not utilized at all. And I hate for that such a good group of characters to be wasted on stories like this. And once again, I like the stories. I like the show. I just feel it could be a lot better. I'm at this point, I expect the next episode to be, the Bad Batch working with Hondo to deliver, energy generators to Lethal or something. Because that's to me the way this series feels.
Okay. I see what you're saying there. I'll wrap up the Bad Batch with this. We are all Star Wars fans. If we weren't, we wouldn't be doing this for an hour and a half here together on a Zoom call, recording a podcast. I've said it all along. Star Wars is like pizza. Some pizza is better than other pizza, but it's still pizza, right? It's still good. Everybody likes pizza, so I'm all for anything they want to put out there, and I think everything's going to hit somebody a different way. Just like Rebels hits Brent more than it hits Alfie, or Mass, and same with Joey with Rebels over Clone Wars, right? I mean, it's okay. Same thing with the original trilogy versus a prequel trilogy versus the sequel trilogy. It hits a different chord for everybody, and I'm okay with it because it gets us talking about the entire thing. So I'm good with all that. I think if we sound negative on it at all, it's only because we want to love things so much and we put so much of our thoughts and time and effort into it that, like you guys said, we're probably a little spoiled and we want the biggest and best thing to happen every episode, and we're just sitting there waiting for it. So but overall, I think we all agree, and Dave, when you get a chance to really watch it, it's an above average show. It's got some good things in it, but it's not mind blowing to where you're like, whoa, everybody, we have to have the Bad Batch. Like you said, Mandalorian blew everybody away, and I think it's going to continue to do that. And I'm looking forward to whether it's Kenobi or Andor or some of these other ones that I think are going to do the same thing. So I've kept you guys long enough. My wife's probably sitting there going, "Holy cow, Joe! How long are you going to spend just talking Star Wars again tonight?" Like she doesn't know I talk about it every night. Anyway, what do you guys have as like closing thoughts? Anything each of you wants to hit before we close down this puppy and move on to next week? Brent, I'll start with you.
I really think that Rampart is dirty and he's evil, and I like seeing Rampart being dirty and evil. Does that qualify him to be have his own character, right? Because he's got his own toy.
He does.
but I like the slow burn of the build of the Empire and how they are slowly taking over from the Bad Batch. Like they're slowly taking over each of the different systems, and they are showing you that they are not good people, slowly but surely. So that's one of the big takeaways that I have from that episode. And yeah, I just like I said, it's about a 7 out of 10, and I kind of want to reserve all of my judgment until it's all the way over with too.
Perfectly valid answer, and we should all do that. I think that's probably best for all of us. Alfie, I'll go to you next. Closing thoughts.
After watching so many seasons of Filoni's, I'm expecting a big finale, something to really make me want to see the next season, and hopefully it keeps building. I thought this was a solid episode. I liked seeing Crosshair's back. That sound effect at the end of the episode, that was pretty killer. When he asked to be able to track them. That was something else. I hope we're going in that direction. And I think that's really what got me about this episode was I felt like it should have been like 5 episodes sooner.
What sound effect?
It was like a deep organ, but also like a machine kind of.
Yeah.
You'll hear it. It's like
kind of Terminator-esque sound.
Yes. Yeah. So we're good on that.
Ominous sound. There's some ominous coming.
Yeah.
I like that. Mass, how about you? Doesn't have to be about Bad Batch. It could be about anything. Any closing thoughts on Star Wars stuff, anything like that we've talked about tonight, or it's on your brain?
Well, I hadn't read any of this stuff that you guys had, so I'm pretty excited about the Kenobi series now. Just all the characters that are going to come through there, and I'm really looking forward to that. That the Cassian Andor thing, I'm pretty excited about too. Of some of the stuff I've read about that, so I think there's good stuff to come.
Good. Me too. Special guest Dave at DDoc42 on Twitter. What about you? I appreciate you putting up with us doing the Bad Batch talk, but we've really enjoyed having you here. 2, we enjoy the artwork right here. We can't thank you enough for that. And but first time on the show with us, and then just talking Star Wars. Anything that you want to hit on before we break away?
All right. I have 3 quick hitters because I wrote down some stuff before I got on.
Yep.
So number 1 is I can't get the image that T-Bob put in my head of Maz and Chewbacca. That's 1. I can't get it out of my head.
Oh gosh, I know. That one blew me away.
Thanks for
all right.
Yeah. Mustafar and Maz and Chewie. Yeah, all in my head.
Shout out to T-Bob too. He's awesome. I follow him on Twitter and he's really cool. I give you guys credit for me following him, you guys and Joey. Number 2, I'm just going to say I never knew who Mara Jade was until I started following you guys. I feel like I need to say her name on the episode. And number 3 is Alfie. Don't let them shame you for waiting for your helmet because I'm waiting. August is coming, and my Mando helmet will be arriving in August. Apparently, it was pre-ordered in December. Every time I have a camera out front. I have a camera out front, and every time I see the ring go off, I go on my phone to see if it's a UPS guy walking up with a decent sized box. So.
I love this guest. And second, I love the fact that Mass's hand is fist pumping, and that's all you see is Mass's hand fist pumping if you're on YouTube.
Oh gosh, Dave, that was fabulous. There's not much. I can't
really
say
good.
anything to better that. So I'm going to say this: it has been great to have you. Thanks. Star Wars should be this. We should be just laughing, having fun, and going away from reality, right? That's what we're supposed to do. And you bringing those comments back up and jabbing it to Alfie as usual, that just made my night right there. So
I'm riding the boat with him. I'm waiting for that helmet, man. I can't wait.
Guys, I love you guys all like brothers. You are fabulous, Dave. You fit right in with the group. We'll get you back on here. We'll do some more stuff. You know what? I will tell T-Bob and I will make sure that if we get him on again here in the near future with Joey, I bring you on here so you can listen in and talk because T-Bob's nuts. He is absolutely crazy. But we love him. We absolutely love him. So thank you for being a part of it, guys. That's
course. Thanks
chapter
for having
90.
me.
No worries, man. Chapter 92 in the books, Rule of the Galaxy. It just keeps getting better, folks. It really does. When Mass is laughing this hard, you know Star Wars is good. Follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter. Email us, ruletheGalaxySW@gmail.com, especially if you want to make comments like Dave just made to us. And Rule the Galaxy on Facebook and YouTube. And until next week, may the Force be with you.